I'm going to start out just by reading a little bio on you, uh, and as I did, you get my last email about kind of the nature of
I
the
did.
interview? Okay,
Yep.
cool. I'm trying to focus a portion of my website on helping young men kind of get out of this funk they're in and get with it.
hmm
So some of my questions are going to be related to that.
hmm
So I'm going to start with a bio and then maybe just get caught up with what you're doing now, and then we'll get into some questions.
Okay.
Cool. All right. So from your book, Ryan Hendrickson is a Special Forces engineer in the U.S. Army. Ryan transferred over to the Army in 2008 after completing enlistments in both the Navy and Air Force. Ryan has many military deployments, including to Iraq, Afghanistan, and several South and Central American countries. Ryan's awards include the Silver Star, 4 Bronze Stars, a Purple Heart, and an Army Commendation Medal with Valor. And then from your website, it says, deeply impacted by the civilian suffering caused by landmines and improvised explosive devices, IEDs, Hendrickson's commitment to humanitarian work intensified after he stepped on an IED in 2010, an incident that nearly cost him his life. In 2022, after witnessing the devastation of the Russian invasion of Ukraine, Hendrickson returned to assist with landmine removal, leading to the founding of this nonprofit in October 2022. And that nonprofit is Tip of the Spear Landmine Removal. Uh, Ryan finds fulfillment in helping other veterans rediscover a sense of purpose while ensuring that no one lives in fear of their next step. Well, I really enjoyed your book. I, uh, my favorite part was, your relationship with your father and just what he meant to you.
hmm
Um, I have a good dad. We didn't always see eye to eye, but in about I think it was like around 2008, we rebuilt a boat together, so that we got on the same page and had a lot of fun doing that.
Nice.
So catch me up to date with what you're doing now, and I know you are headed to Ukraine. What's that look like?
Yeah. So here in about a week now, September 2nd, I'll be heading to Ukraine. Taking over a couple people. One, a Canadian EOD guy who wants to volunteer with us, and then Dave Niedorf, a person that I consider a friend. Known him for a couple of years now, and um, he's donated funds to our mission and wants to go over and kind of see what's going on. So we'll be doing, we'll be doing that, taking off September 2nd. But this will be our 11th mission to Ukraine. Um, I'm based out of the Kharkiv region, and so that's northeast. And literally, what we do is we partner up with our Ukrainian counterparts who work in demining, and we fund them through donations that we receive, and we purchase equipment and we help them out on the minefields, and that's pretty much what we've been doing for since 2022. And so that's one of the jobs that are one of the aspects of the mission. The other one is I work with Ukrainian veterans, and basically what that is I'm trying to set up a platform to where U.S. veterans can come to Ukraine and volunteer with Ukrainian veterans, whether it's reconstruction, agriculture, demining, whatever it is. Obviously, you need some qualifications for demining, but you can volunteer teaching anything. But you come over to Ukraine, you volunteer with Ukrainian veterans, and it's U.S. and Ukrainian veterans working together. And what this does is not only, is it good for Ukraine, but it's good for the U.S. veterans because now they have a sense of purpose, they have a sense of service, and you're pulling them out of whatever, um, whatever environment they were in the States. You're putting them into a new environment, subjecting them to a new environment to where they're getting their eyes open, they're volunteering, they're helping on a humanitarian level in a country that is suffering right now because of war. And that's profound. It's a volunteering and helping people is a very profound experience, and it's healing. It's very healing. So a lot of veterans that are dealing with mental health issues from either our conflicts, Iraq, Afghanistan, or anything else, you can come out and you can volunteer, and you can get your eyes open at a volunteer and a humanitarian level, and that helps a lot of people, because I know it helped me. So that's what we're doing when I go to Ukraine, and that's what the next trip's going to be about, is working with our demining partners, and also continuing to set up this platform for U.S. veterans to come over and volunteer with Ukrainian veterans to do great things.
That's terrific. That's so awesome. I know it's going to be hugely impactful on those folks going. Taking out a mine or making sure it doesn't blow up anymore is a terrifying thing for me to think about, and I think a lot of people. How do you actually do that? What's involved in that?
Well, I mean, landmines are actually really simple. As long as you're not getting shot at, landmines are pretty easy to work with, because they're manufactured. And so IEDs are more difficult because they're improvised explosive devices, whereas in landmines they are made to function in a certain way.
Okay.
And
So,
so if you can arm a landmine, you can also disarm it. Now there are landmines that cannot be disarmed,
uh-huh.
and so they're blown in place. Or a lot of those landmines, they have a self-destruct mechanism on it. Unfortunately, the self-destruct mechanism, especially in the Russian inventory, has a very high dud rate, and so you're dealing with those. But um, demining is actually not that difficult, as long as you follow your standard operating procedures.
Uh-huh.
You are trained to do it. You follow your training. You don't rush anything,
Yeah.
and and um and you follow all the standards that have been put in place for this kind of work, and the casualty rate is actually pretty low.
Okay.
It's when people start to cut corners, or people start to rush through things,
Yeah.
or you get people that are not qualified to be doing the job, then that's when you start to get injuries and deaths from demining.
Okay. So the IEDs are really the gnarly things, because there are all sorts of different types of devices with different tripping mechanisms and stuff. So what's your approach to those?
With like tripwires and seismic and stuff like that.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
So when it comes to like tripwires are, I mean, they're difficult, but again, as long as you are taking the situation slowly,
Uh-huh.
and you're not getting in over your head, or when you feel that uncomfortable situation or that uncomfortable feeling, you're not getting shot at. So take a break, take a
Yeah.
step back, diagnose, look at the entire area, look at the big picture of it, ask for help if you need it. But with tripwires, so usually if you can locate the tripwire and you can locate the device, like let's say an OZM 72, a bounding mine, or a MON 50, MON 90, MON 100, MON 200, those are all Claymore type mines, directional fragmentations. If they are tripwire activated, and you locate the tripwire, then you clear the tripwire, because the Russians will put anti-personnel landmines by the tripwires, because they know that the deminer or the combat engineer is focused on the main device and not secondary devices. So you clear the tripwires till you find that main device, and then you can negotiate that main device and that fuse according to your standard operating procedures for that type of device and fuse. As long as you take your time, you do your steps, non-technical survey, technical survey, and you figure out what kind of clearance is needed for it, you follow your standard operating procedures, then you're going to be fine.
Okay. Okay. Good stuff. Well, how I don't want to get too in the weeds on the war, but how are your Ukraine colleagues and friends over there? How are they doing? Are Are they positive, or are they getting worn down, or what?
I mean, everybody's tired of it.
Yeah,
Ukrainians are tired of it. The West is tired of it. Everybody's tired of the war, and
yeah,
I think it plays into the Russian narrative. Um, I think the Russians, they use manpower as a way of fighting war. They've done it since the very beginning.
yeah,
I think the Russians are willing to lose millions of people to wear down the West. I
yeah.
really do.
I believe
And
that too.
and the
Yeah,
Ukrainians are tired. I mean, anybody would be tired.
yeah.
So, but
Uh,
they're still strong, but they're
Good.
tired.
Okay. All right. Well, we wish you the best of luck over there, and skill, and helping those folks protect their land. That's incredible effort.
Yeah.
I listened to you talking about vets, and I think there's a lot of parallels with young men today. And that's not to say, young women don't have their own issues, but I kind of, with my website and stuff, I want to focus on young men.
Hmm.
They're fighting a battle with loneliness and identity, relationships, health, and, like you said, purpose.
Hmm.
Those vets come back from being in their bands of brothers, and all of a sudden they're come into civilian society, and they don't have that same meaning. So I've read a lot about that, how that's one of the best things we can do for vets is plug them back into a service, or something that helps them identify a mission. But you you seem to be a person who was driven at an early age. How was that? Like why? Where did that come from?
So uh, I don't actually know if I was driven at an early age, to be honest with you.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, I mean, from the very beginning, I had a rough childhood, like a lot of people have, and
Yeah.
I don't think I was driven one way or another, except for trying to make everybody like me and trying to fit in and trying to not, you know, because I got bullied a lot, I got beat up a lot, and we were dirt poor, and it was just, it was a rough situation growing up. My dad, had three different wives when I was, well, four. And so I've seen women come in and out and divorces and all this other stuff. So no, I don't think I was very driven at all. I think I was very lost, confused, and alone. My childhood,
Okay.
my yeah, my drive didn't come in. I didn't actually recognize um, this drive or this purpose until I mean, hell, until probably I joined the army um, in 2008. Because I had gone through the Navy and I've gone through the Air Force and everything like that, and I don't think I still really had a drive. I think I was just kind of going through the motions of life, and I'm comfortable in the military. It made sense to me, and I like the military structure, and I enjoy, the the well, the good leadership when there is it when it's good, but I enjoy the structure of it, and it made sense to me. But I didn't really have a drive to do anything. I was kind of that. See, my dad told me a story before I joined the military, before I joined the Navy. My dad said, it's kind of advice, but it was a story as well, and it's always stuck with me. But he said there's two old men sitting on their porch, and they're waiting on death. They said the first old man, he's miserable because he's let life pass him by. He's never done anything. He's never failed at anything. He's never risked anything. He never stepped out of his comfort zone. He never did anything that he could possibly fail at because failure was so scary to him and the unknown, and he never risked anything. And when he got to an age where he was forced to look back on his life, because everybody will get to that age. Every single person is going to get to an age where they're going to be forced to look back on the decisions they made or did not make in their life. And it's up to you how you look back on them. Are you going to be proud of how you handled that situation, or are you going to be disgusted and miserable with how you handled it? Or with the chances you took or did not take. Are you going to have a life of I wish I would have, or I wish I didn't? or I'm glad I did. He's like, the first old man was miserable because he let life pass him by. And now he was filled with a bunch of I wish I would haves, and he can't go back and redo it. He said the second old man, he was happy, he was fulfilled, he was content. He's done everything there is to do. He's risked everything. He's failed multiple times. He's succeeded some, but he's done it. He's done it all. And he was looking back on his life, content, happy, and fulfilled. And he said, which old man do you want to be? He said, don't grow old and allow yourself to have regrets and I wish I would have. He said, regardless if the situation is painful, dark, or seems or seems unfair or anything else like that. Every single situation in life, especially the painful ones, if used properly, you can use this as a tool to make yourself stronger, to build yourself up so you can help other people. He said, don't ever let pain go to waste. Use it, because that's the best tool. And, it's the best teaching tool. And he said, which old man do you want to be? And so fast forwarding into my decision to go from the Air Force to the Army, I actually finally looked at my life and I said, I'm that old man with a bunch of I wish I would haves. If I die right now, I will die with a bunch of I wish I would haves. And I'm sitting there talking myself out of joining the Army, because it's like I was in the Navy and the Air Force. What possibly do I have to bring to Special Forces? Like, besides being a country boy, like, what can I bring to the table?
Yeah.
Nothing.
Yeah.
But if I don't try, I'll never know. And if I never know, that's my own fault. And it's because I didn't try. And if I don't try, I will be that old man that looks back and wishes I would have at least tried. So I switched over to the Army and I tried. And that was the first time that I actually felt a drive in my life. And, because everything else, I was just kind of doing what was expected of me, or what I thought people wanted to see, wanted to hear, because I was starving for acceptance. And this was the first thing that I ever did where I was like, you know what? I'm going to do this for me. And I did it.
Nice. So help me distill that down a little bit. Like, so when you were a young man, or even a boy, you were bullied. What would you say to that boy now? Like, what would you tell him to do to kind of get out of that, or get some direction?
Quit trying to please everybody. You cannot make everybody like you. And the harder you try, the more people dislike you and the more people are going to use you. You got to have confidence, because a confident person, they don't need the justification of others to be happy.
Yeah.
Be happy with who you are. Don't try to be something else. See, a big problem with our youth today, and it's a huge problem because of the shit we see on TV, in our musics and everything like that. Everybody wants to live vicariously through somebody else. That's the reason why these stupid drama shows are so popular. The Real Housewives of Atlanta and all this other bullshit, and The Bachelor and this and that. The reason why it's so popular and I get fired up over it is because nobody has an identity anymore. Everybody wants to be somebody else. Nobody knows how to communicate anymore. We communicate through emojis and cell phone and behind keyboards. Nobody has an identity. They live vicariously through everything and everybody else, to the fact that we think we have kids that think they're cats. Yeah. and dogs and cows.
Furries.
I identify as this and this. This is a loss of identity. You have zero identity.
Yeah.
And until you can have an identity and identify as something, and then you can get that confidence behind who you are as a human being, you're always going to be you are going to be craving acceptance by other people, and you feed off of it. Well, the problem is you can never fill that void, that acceptance void. Unless you can accept yourself and love yourself, you can never fill that void.
Yeah.
And acceptance turn into entitlement. Well, I deserve this because of filling all the blanks. And when you don't get that entitlement void filled, that entitlement turns into victimization because I deserve this. I should be getting this. This isn't fair for me. Look at our country today. It's full of freaking victims. Everybody thinks they deserve something for nothing.
Yeah.
And victimization is a beast, and you got to continue to feed it. And when you can no longer feed that victimized beast, then you turn to substance or something else, some other very radical behavior. We see kids out protesting stuff they don't even know.
Yeah.
We see people jumping on every freaking bandwagon, changing genders and all this other stuff because they're craving acceptance and they're entitled and victimized by not being accepted. And so they do these radical things to themselves, all in the name of acceptance,
Yeah.
popularity. And when you can't feed that beast anymore, you make really stupid decisions. And that's why our suicide rate's so high, in my opinion.
Yeah. Yeah. There's a lot there. That's for sure.
Mhm.
One thing, young folks have, or may not have, is a mentor, or someone to tell them these things or help them get out of these holes. Did you have some mentors growing up that helped you?
Not growing up, but after I got injured in Afghanistan, my life changed for the better. And the biggest mentor that helped me was my dad.
Yeah.
So all the way up until September 12th, 2010, like I tell people, I was a little boy trying to be a man. I was a little boy in a Green Beret, playing Green Beret. But I had never grown up. I'd never taken responsibility for myself. Everything was always somebody else's fault. Oh, I'm this way towards women because, I have, I've had a bunch of stepmoms come through, and I went through a sexual abuse case as a kid by the hands of a stepmom and all this other stuff. I was victimized by everything. It was everybody else's fault but my own. I never took responsibility.
Mm-hmm.
And then God, I believe God was like, here's a wake-up call. It's gonna suck. It's gonna hurt, but you're not listening to me. So I gotta make this really painful for you. I gotta bring you to the brink of death to wake you up.
Yeah.
And that was September 12th, 2010, when I stepped on an IED.
Yeah. No.
But all the way up until 30, whatever, 31, 32, whatever, however old I was when I stepped on the IED, 32, I think. I had never grown up or taken responsibility for my actions. I was just this little boy struggling, striving for acceptance.
Yeah.
Green Beret. Oh, yeah, I'm the biggest. I'm the baddest. No, you're not. It's a job. You're a human being.
Yeah.
You're no better than anybody else. It's not fulfilling. When you use objects and status to try and fulfill you, you're more miserable than you were before because it's impossible to get fulfillment from tangible objects and status and all this other stuff. Trust me, I know.
Yeah.
Being a Green Beret, there was no fulfillment in it at all because I was using special forces as my whole existence instead of what it really was. Am I proud I was a Green Beret? Hell yeah. Was it hard? Absolutely. Did we do a lot of great things? We did. But I was identified as a Green Beret instead of I'm Ryan Hendrickson. I have a job that I'm U.S. Army Special Forces Green Beret. But this is who I am as a person, and this is my identity. I didn't have that. Everything was wrapped up into
So
what I thought.
I think what you're saying is there's got to be a foundation. There's got to be
Yeah.
some fundamentals first
Yeah, you
before.
need a foundation.
Yeah.
You need to know who you are as a human being. That's your foundation.
Yeah.
Who you are as a human, and I honestly believe a higher being, a higher belief.
Yeah. Yeah.
But you have to have that foundation or else you can never grow.
Yeah.
It's impossible.
So I think like getting back to the mentor thing, it's a young man could look to a mentor to help him ask those questions, those deep questions, and kind of find
Yeah.
um, find what their purpose, their foundation is. And for
If
you,
they want to.
that was your dad as well as some other
Yeah.
folks in the military.
Well, I mean, mainly my dad, but yeah, like orthopedic surgeon and my physical therapist who were,
Yeah.
had a huge impact on me. But um,
What
yeah,
was
you
there?
could
Was there a
a
point?
mentor can help a mentor can help a young individual, but they have to want to be helped.
Yeah. Well, that's kind of, yeah, for sure, that needs to be there. But I'm thinking of the young person who, does want to improve themselves, does is looking for a direction, but not sure how to get there, or
Hmm.
not sure how to navigate that road.
Hmm.
Um, did you reach out to your dad, or did your dad, like you said there were a couple of times where he stepped in and said, "Son, listen, this is the way it is," right?
I mean, yeah, my dad and I had a conversation in the hospital when I was probably at my darkest point, and I was very victimized and entitled by my injury. I thought I was owed something. I thought nobody understood me. It was, all the way to the point where it's not fair. I did all this, and this happened, or I was a Green Beret. Who am I now? And now I'm just, I'm nobody, because I had no identity. I had no foundation, like you and I just talked about. There was no foundation there that I could fall back on. And so my dad had a conversation with me. He said, "You're at a fork in the road right now. And the way I see it, you got two choices. You can either continue to be victimized by your injury, and you'll never leave September 12th, 2010. And what's going to happen is you're going to push everybody away from you, because you're going to demand, through your entitlement, you're going to demand people understand what you went through and what you think you did for them. You're going to demand something that nobody can give you. It's impossible, because that entitlement void is impossible to fill. And when you can't fill these entitlement demands that you have, that you need this validation and verification from other people to make you who you think you are. When that doesn't get fulfilled, then you're going to turn into a victim. And that victim mentality, that victimization, it's a beast that you got to continue to feed, but you can't. And then you're going to turn to a substance, and you know this is what happened. This is what leads to the 22 a day. He said, or you can use this. You don't understand it right now because of how dark the times are and how painful, how much pain you're going through, but you can use this situation for what it is. You have the golden ticket. Very few men go through life and get a second chance.
Yeah.
I was pronounced, or not pronounced, but I had expired twice at the
Yeah.
first role facility that I got to. And so you got the golden ticket. And when I was laying there on the ground after I stepped on the IED, I remember, reaching out to God, because it hurt so bad. My team couldn't just get to me. Not only were we in an ambush, but I was in a minefield. So my team couldn't just run up to me, and I couldn't get my tourniquet on. And I thought, like, I'm going to die here today.
Yeah.
And so as I'm laying there, I remember thinking back on my life, and I was ashamed with who I was. I was ashamed that, I had always been a little boy, never taken control, never taken ownership of myself. I had no foundation. I was just this little boy that was scratching and clawing to be loved and to be liked by everybody. I had no identity. And I was laying there, and I was asking God to forgive me. And I was asking God, for strength and for peace. And, my team gets to me. Obviously, we're talking, so I'm alive. But my dad said, "You got the golden ticket. Remember all that stuff you were thinking when you were laying there and you thought you were going to die? Well, you could do all that now." He said, "Use this injury, use this experience, use this golden ticket that you've been given to rebuild your life and to make yourself stronger, but don't do it for you. Do it so you can help other people. Use this experience, use this pain. Don't let pain go to waste. Use this pain and this experience to build yourself up and make yourself stronger so you can help other people and leave this world just a little bit better than when you came in." He said, "If you do that, you'll be a happy, fulfilled old man. But if you don't, you're not going to live to be an old man. And he
Yeah.
said, it's up to you. And, it was that advice right there that, I didn't jump up out of bed like a Baptist preacher hit me in the face
Mhm.
with a snake and, everything's good. But
Yeah.
that really started to, now the cement truck is in and a foundation is being laid.
Yeah.
And yeah, there's a lot of mistakes you can make during that time, but that was the base of my foundation. And I didn't get to that point until I was 32 years old.
Yeah. Well, you did get there.
I did.
So I want to dive deeper there a little bit. I think that's something that's very that's missing today for youth is that service component. What is it about service that takes you out of yourself and gives you that healthy perspective? What do you think?
You mean serving others?
Yeah. Uh-huh.
I mean, I believe human beings we're wired and we're geared to be servants to others. And in the military, like if you look at the military, you are a public servant. There a lot of people don't understand it, but if you look at the government, you look at the police force, fire department, military, all these other things, like you are in service to others. There's very few jobs in this world that are not a job of service in one way, shape, or form.
Yeah.
And so, and there's a reason for that because I believe human beings naturally are wired to be tribal and servants to better the tribe. And so I think it's pretty natural, but we've gone so far away from that as a society now to where now everybody praises, the lone wolf and the guy that has all this trauma and he's drinking himself, crazy and he goes out and, he kills all the bad guys and we celebrate all this stuff. We celebrate the loners and the isolationists and stuff like that, Batman and Joker and all these other things. Like it's all celebrated. But the thing is I don't believe human beings are wired that way. And so if being a service or volunteering to help others, it does something. I don't know if it's a chemical. I can't speak on that because I'm not a psychologist, but it does something. It releases some sort of chemical. Maybe it's dopamine or something. I don't know, but it does something to you that that like it's a joy,
It's
and it's
fulfilling. It makes you feel good. It
fulfilling.
makes you feel connected. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like that person. Like there's an old lady. Something as easy as you see somebody struggling with something. Maybe it's an old lady trying to put groceries in her car, or something like that, and you go up and you help her. And then when you get in your own vehicle, you feel really freaking good.
Yeah.
It's that dopamine release of helping somebody else when you didn't have to. You could have just continued walking right on by, mind your own business.
Well,
That's the world we live in today. Not my problem.
yeah.
But
Everybody's recording it on their phone instead of
helping,
participating. Yeah.
yeah. But when you actually like, if you if you understand, well, no, you don't even need to understand, but if you volunteer to help somebody out, you will see this positive reaction in your life that just feels good. And I don't know why it does. It just does.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's kind of been your afterlife after the military life is, dedicating yourself and your skills to helping others, and
Hmm.
I'm sure you get a lot of reward from that, and that's something I believe we should, our youth should be doing more of themselves to grow and fulfill their themselves, learn their fundamentals.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, one other thing, relationships. I'm curious. You had this life up until your accident, and that was a very profound moment. And then you actually went back. You got yourself healthy again, and then went back into the army again and served more. What were your relationships like, kind of before and after that? Were they deeper after your kind of come to Jesus moment, or?
Um, Not necessarily, because I had battled quite a bit with this entitlement feeling of, look at everything I've overcome. Look at how far I've come. Nobody said this was possible. I was medically retired and I fought to get back on active duty. I went back to Afghanistan 7 more times when nobody said, or when everyone said it was impossible, said I would never be deployed again. I even got a Silver Star, which isn't, something that I'm proud of because a lot of people died. Um, but it's, I had this entitlement to where now all of a sudden I was starting to think that I'm better than people. I started to have this entitlement image of myself because of everything I've gone through.
Uh-huh.
And then I also started to get really upset whenever anything bad would happen to me, because I thought, well, I've already gone through the hardest thing I've ever gone through in my life. Why is this happening to me? This isn't fair. Again, telling life something's not fair. It's a joke.
Yeah.
This isn't fair because I thought I've gone through the hardest thing that I would ever have to go through. I made it. I got out the other side. Why does shit keep happening to me? That's bad. And so, again, back to entitlement and victimization and all this other stuff. But I had a foundation from my dad's talk and my experience in the hospital. I had a foundation to where I kept battling back and forth. And I knew something was there, but I hadn't quite um, figured I hadn't quite gotten control over my life. And a lot of that revolved around my relationship with God. See, at that point in time, God was a genie. When I need you, come out of the lamp. But until I need you, leave me alone and let me live my life. Well, it doesn't work that way with God. And so it wasn't up until 2022 when I started going to Ukraine and volunteering there when I actually renewed my relationship with God. And that's when everything started to piece together for me in a way that made sense. And again, now I'm 42 years old, 43 years old, right?
Yeah.
And now I'm starting to actually get control, like literally for the first time in my life, get control over my life and who I am. And it all spun off of my relationship with God.
That's cool. It's
Mm-hmm.
awesome. Yeah.
And so no, my relationships after I was injured in Afghanistan, some of the relationships got actually worse because I actually felt like I deserved something, or I was entitled to something, or I was better than, because look at everything I just went through. Defied all the odds, came back. Wow. Everybody must, you all must love Ryan in my story. It's so amazing. Guess what? Nobody drives home and thinks about Ryan Hendrickson.
Yeah.
It's just the way it is. Get over yourself. You are only a person.
Yeah.
That's it. Everybody goes through horrible situations in their life. You don't have to step on an IED to do that. Everybody goes through darkness. It's life. It's what
Yeah.
happens. And when you start thinking that your hard times are worse than somebody else's, guess what? That's the entitled mindset that the slippery slope, and it leads you straight into victimization.
Yeah.
Because just because you think your situation is worse than somebody else's, guess what? Pain is pain, despair is despair, depression is depression, hurt is hurt. And you don't have to get blown up to go through that. Everybody goes through that. And I also tell people the opposite as well. Or not the opposite, but on the other spectrum as well. People that are like, well, I didn't go through what you went through, so I don't have it. Yes, you do. You don't have to step on an IED or a landmine or get shot or have something horrible happen to you to go through hard times, to hurt, to feel pain. That happened to be one of the mechanisms of my pain and hurt, but you don't have to step on a landmine or go to war for that. Quit minimizing your pain. Address it. Understand you have the right to have this, and you also have the right to address it and use these experiences to build yourself up to help other people. Don't be a victim to it. By saying that I don't have the right, I didn't go through the same thing you went through, so mine's not as bad, that's a victim mindset. Stop. Give yourself that pedestal to hurt, to grieve, to dissect, and move on.
Yeah.
And that's a huge problem today, is people just keep putting this pain in their rucksack. And then you're going to get to a point in your life when you can't carry that weight anymore. I did, and
Yeah.
God was there. God took my rucksack from me in 2022.
Wow. Wow, that's powerful, Ryan. So would you like talk to God? Would you like struggle with him? How did you kind of like break through that?
Um, that's the thing about, my faith. I'm non-denominational, but my faith, or my belief in God is through faith. And there's a lot of people who's like, well, how do you know God's real? Have you seen him? Have you just? But for me, I can actually say I have. I saw him after I got injured. If you remember the book, there was this eagle that was circling over me through an ambush and everything else, and that was God saying, "I got you."
Yeah.
I also
Oh,
saw that halo God put around me when they dropped a 500-pound bomb 17 meters from me. That should have killed me,
yeah.
but God had me. So I can actually say, yes, I've seen God work. I've seen God work in my life, even in Ukraine,
Yeah.
in a conflict that is so horrible. It's so, like, gruesome and violent and bloody, and I could still see God's hand in it. And people won't understand that, but that's faith.
Yeah.
That's what religion is faith. I
Yeah.
have faith that what I believe is I don't know if necessarily saying what I believe is right, because that's saying others are wrong. I believe if you're a good person and you're on earth trying to help other people, then I believe you are right, regardless of what label you put on your service to others.
Hmm.
That's just my belief,
Or
but
why you do it.
or why you do it.
Yeah.
You know, but
Yeah.
I mean, for me, yeah, talking with God, it's difficult for me because I can't just sit down with you and have a conversation like you and I are doing. And
Yeah.
so I have to believe that when I'm praying or I'm reaching out to God, He hears me.
Wow.
But I keep seeing doors open up. People are like, well, I mean, think about it. It's kind of coincidence. But I don't know if there is such thing as coincidence.
Yeah.
I believe my belief in my faith tells me God's hand is in everything. It's just, do you choose to walk through those doors that He opens or not? Do you choose to believe that this is God at work in your life and through your actions or not?
Hmm.
Anything can be coincidence, or it could all be God's working. It just depends on what you believe. And in my faith, in my belief, that's God.
Yeah.
Like, well, how do you know? I can't get into those arguments with people. I won't, actually,
Yeah.
but I can't get into those conversations with people because it's just my faith.
Yeah.
Oh, well, it
It
sounds
it
like
it
blind.
ultimately comes down to that question all the time. No,
Yeah,
no matter what, everyone's got facts they can bring to the
yeah.
table.
It's like, oh, well, that's just blind faith. Okay, call it what you want.
Yeah.
That's fine. But I will tell you one thing about my faith that isn't so blind, and that is my faith drives me to want to help other people in a good way.
Mm. Wow.
So if so
Cool.
if that's blind faith, then I'm happy with that.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I'll be a sheep, and I'll be a sheep for the rest of my life, because my blind faith is driving me to want to help other people and to make the world a little bit better place than when I came in. And if that's blind, then fine, I'm blind.
Pretty cool. Pretty cool. Well,
Hmm.
that was pretty deep. Let me bring it down a little bit. Let's talk a little bit about health. So do you work out regularly? Do you watch your, what you eat and stuff like that,
I
or are
did.
you a junk food guy?
No, 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 no. I work out at least 6 times a week.
Yeah.
One of our favorite things my wife and I do is, in the morning as the sun's coming up, we'll take our dogs on a 2, 3, 4 mile walk, and then I'll usually, I'll hit the gym. I take care of my body with ice baths, cold plunges. I'm also watching what I put into my body. Again, we don't. I work in a nonprofit, so we don't have a lot of money, so I can't sit here and get the $100,000 a year personal trainer and chef, and all this other stuff. So I do the best I can with what I got. But yes, I believe that, our bodies are vessels for God to do his work. And so I want to maintain mine. I want to stay as healthy as I can. Now, obviously, well, no, it's not obvious because you don't know me, but I am not a hard line. Like, I love pizza. And so I'll have pizza. Or if my wife and I are going out to eat, I'll have burger and fries and stuff like that. Got it. Everything in moderation. You cannot make life so difficult that it's not even worth it.
Yeah.
Like, that's just, God gave us pleasures. Senses. Taste is one of the big ones. And so, yeah, every now and then enjoy something.
Yeah.
Every now and then, like, I like to go to breweries and taste a local craft beer or something like that. Or I like to, have, a pizza for football or something like that. But it's all in moderation, because I do
What would you
believe.
say to a young person, a young man who's maybe not on the athletic side, but what would you tell him? What are the reasons why he needs to get out there and get going?
So it's number one, understanding what the athletic side is. You do not have to look like a Men's Health magazine model.
Yeah.
That is not practical. That is completely that is the standard that people put on themselves. That is absolutely it's just not sustainable. And to get to that level is so hard that life's not even fun at that point. So I would say, number one, understand what athleticism and healthy actually is and what it means to you. So that's number one. Sitting on a video game, or how do you do it? Video game console or something like that for 12 hours a day, eating chips and whatever else crap you can put in your body and not moving at all. Guess what? That is not healthy. You have to get up and you have to do something. A body at motion stays at motion. A body in rest stays at rest. And if you want to get everything that you can out of life, part of that is also being healthy. You have to have a vessel to experience life. You have to take control. You don't have to do these workouts that you think it takes to become this athlete that you think is the pinnacle of health. What you see on magazines or on TV shows, something like that. That's all for nostalgia. That's not practical. But you can get out, like, for young men that your metabolisms are high. You're a young man. A little bit of activity, a little bit of strain on your muscles through some weight training or something like that, or even getting out and doing some work, doing some yard work, doing something like that. Just staying active. Get active. You refuse to sit behind a TV, computer, or your phone.
Yeah.
Use a good couple hours, if not more, a day to get out and get that natural sunlight, to be in nature, to move, to put stress on your body. As a young man, you're going to rip through calories quickly, and you're going to start to see changes.
Yeah.
And as you start to see changes, guess what also happens? Your confidence goes up.
Yeah.
And as your confidence goes up, now all of a sudden you're able to talk to, maybe that pretty girl, or you're able to, you go and put yourself in more vulnerable situations that you never would have done before, like maybe taking your shirt off at the lake or the beach or the pool, or something like that. Now you have the confidence to do that because of how you feel. You don't have to look like the Men's Health magazine.
Yeah.
But if you feel good, that's confidence. And if you're confident, you're going to experience more of life because you have that confidence. And if you're experiencing more of life, you're going to be happier and more fulfilled. And you are setting that foundation for the rest of your life. But it starts now.
Yeah. Good stuff. Well, we've covered a lot of topics there, Ryan. I appreciate how vulnerable and deep your thinking is. I've gotten a lot out of the conversation, so Thank you so much. Any
Absolutely.
anything in conclusion you want to offer to young folks out there, young men?
Yep. I got one last thing. So you're a young man right now, and you need to remember there is going to come a time in your life that you're going to look back and reflect on everything you did or did not do. You see, in my belief, well, your life is like a book, and in my belief, the beginning chapter and the end chapter has already been written when you're born and when you die. That's up to God, not up to you. But those middle chapters and those middle pages, they're all blank, and that's up to you. And you can fill those pages with whatever you want. And in the end, when you're that old man and you're looking back on your life and you're dissecting everything, because it will come, that time will come. How do you want your story to read? That's up to you and only you. So get out and enjoy life. Get out and help people. Get out and try to make this world just a little bit better place than when you came in. That's really it.
Well, I think that's a perfect blueprint recipe for a fulfilling life, and I hope we can spread this message to some folks who need that, some young men who need that. I'm sure we will. So,
Absolutely.
all right, my friend. Well, hope to keep helping you out, and Godspeed over there in Ukraine with my buddy David. Uh,
Yeah, absolutely. It's going to be fun.
you guys are gonna have a great time. Can't wait
Yep.
to hear about it. All right,
All
buddy.
right, man.
Well, take care. Have a great day. Thank you very much for your time.
Yes, sir. And thank you very much for supporting us. Thank you. I appreciate that.